Welcome back, everybody, to week number 4 of the APDA Beyond Medication series. Caregiving considerations is what this is called. If you are seeing this one and haven't seen the first 3, I'm going to suggest you go back and watch the first 3. I am pleased to welcome back. This is our last session, and I'm pleased to welcome back Heidi, who is an occupational therapist. And today, week 4, we can't remember exactly what we titled it, but it is about helpful tools and tips to make life easier and Heidi's favorite tools and adaptive equipment. She's going to be sharing that. And then we'll wrap everything up from the last 3 weeks. That sound good, Heidi?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, great. Well, as usual, I'm going to disappear and be the monkey behind the curtain or wizard or whatever you want to call me. So, Heidi, take it away.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you once again for having me. As Jen said, we're going to talk about some awesome, helpful tools and ways that you can use them that they can help you help your loved ones. So I'm going to go through a slideshow today, and then I'll do some demonstrations once we're done with the PowerPoint and we see kind of what some of these different tools are. So I'm going to try my best to share my screen. And I think you guys can see the whole PowerPoint thing, right?
I can just see the presentation mode.
Oh, you just see so like do you
No,
only
I see the whole thing. Sorry, I
you
see
see
the whole
okay,
thing.
that's okay. So if I do this,
Yep,
we're good. You can see
we're
my
good.
screen. Okay. So basically we're gonna talk about helpful tools that will help you help them. This is my favorite topic. There's so many really awesome things out there. I don't have everything to show you today that I wish I did, but we're going to talk about a bunch of different options. And then if you guys have questions, just let me know. Ooh, there's a video. Is that working for you guys?
It is
Perfect.
working.
So this is just an example of someone using a few different tools. That was the stocking donor to get some compression stockings on. She's going to pull those up and then use that silicone mat to kind of get it where she wants it on her foot. And then she'll use the sock aid to get her sock on. So that was someone who was just struggling to get the lower body dressing, the compression stockings, the socks, and we used a bunch of different tools, as you could see, to allow her to be able to do that on her own. So as we talk through these tools today, some of them will be things that your loved one can use to do things more independently and kind of give you a break from doing those tasks. Some of them will be tools that you can use to help them that'll make it a little bit easier for you while you're helping them. And we can talk about how it works both ways for all of those. But for this lady in particular, she was having a really tough time bending over to do what she needed to do. And we were struggling with figuring out a way to allow her to do it on her own. And she was like, more tools or more equipment or more things. And you can see once we got it though, and we found the right one, sometimes it's trial and error. Some things work better for some people than others. But those tools worked for her and she was able to do that on her own. So I'm just going to talk about a few things. Can you guys see my mouse if I move it around? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So a reacher, first of all, is this thing down here. Is there another one? No, just right there for this one. There's different styles of reachers, basically a long handle with a handle and a little grippy thing that grabs items. I don't have one with me today, but we use those for many different reasons and purposes. One, to reach things that we can't reach, or if there's something on the floor and they want to pick it up or we want to pick it up without bending over, we can use the reacher to help us grab items. We can also use the reacher to help get pants on. If someone has a hard time reaching their feet to get the pants on, we can hold the pants open and kind of grab the front of the pants and lower them down and slide a foot in and kind of pull it up. And then we can use the reacher to hold the side of the pants and lower it down and get your foot in and pull that up. and then we go from there for the rest of the dressing. But if it's hard for someone to get the pants over the feet, a reacher can help with that. The foot funnel, is there a picture of that on here? Let me see. Oh, it's here on the shoe. And this is my very favorite tool ever. I'm really bummed I forgot mine today, so I don't have it to show you. But if we have time at the end, I have some videos that we can look at. But basically, it's just a little plastic piece that you fit around the back of your shoe. It fits on all sorts of styles of shoes, and it acts as a shoehorn, but you don't have to navigate holding the shoehorn and getting your foot in the right place and turning your heel in the right place. You just put the little plastic piece around the back of the shoe, put the shoe on the ground, slide your foot in, and you can use that string to pull the foot funnel off of the shoe, and voila, you have your feet in your shoes. So that's really helpful for a lot of people who have a hard time getting their shoes on, whether it's bending over or tying the shoes. You can typically leave them tied this way and slide the shoes on and off with the foot funnel, and you don't have to tie them every time. So that is super helpful. I find it on Amazon. I think it's like 15 bucks or something, and it's just called foot funnel. I think they should make them in more pretty colors. That's the only one they have, but it's really awesome. It's my favorite thing. Try it out and you'll love it too. And the next one is the dressing stick, which is this long stick thing here. And I will demonstrate this at the end. I'm going to wait to demonstrate everything till I take it off presentation mode so we can see a little bit better. But we can use the dressing stick to help get like open front shirts around if people have a hard time reaching with their shoulders or limited range of motion for that type of thing. You can also use it to help push socks or compression stockings or something off of your feet if you use the hook and just kind of, push them down if you can't reach down around the bottom of your feet. Use these to help with that. There's also like a hook. There's so many things you can do with this. You can kind of grab a zipper with this hook and pull it up. Some people have used it to get like their hanger out of their closet. If they couldn't reach a shirt they wanted, they could use this to kind of help them get that down. So it's pretty simple, but pretty helpful. There is a button hook, which is this handy dandy thing here. And this can, I don't have a button up shirt, but basically you slide this through the hole of your shirt, and then you kind of grab the button and then you pull it through the hole of your shirt. So if someone has a hard time with the fine motor and finding the button and navigating it through that hole, this is a style with kind of a narrower handle. They have some with wider handles. So it's easier to grip this and grip the shirt, and then you just kind of slide it through. And I have videos demonstrating that also if you want to take a look at what it actually looks like to use the button hook. That could be something that you use to help them if it makes it easier for you, or that they could use to help themselves if it makes it easier for them for the buttons. There's a stocking donner, which we're going to look at a couple different styles of that, but that's to help with compression stockings. So that's this one right here. This is my favorite because it has these extended handles that swivel, so you can kind of put it at the right position to reach your foot a little better. But like I said, I'll show you a couple different styles of those to help with compression stockings. And that again is something that could be helpful for them to do themselves or helpful for you to help them with. There's Kiziks, so I put that on here. That's just a brand of shoe. They also have the Skechers slide-ins that are kind of the same thing. They just have a heel that is meant to be stepped into and they don't fold over. So the foot funnel is awesome for being able to use with any type of shoe, any shoe that you have. And then the Kiziks are basically a foot funnel built into the shoe. You don't have to take it on and off. It's just the style where you can slide it in and out without tying the shoes. So they're pretty great. A sock aid is this one down here, and we use that to help get just regular socks on someone's foot if they have a hard time reaching down or opening up the socks to get it over their foot. And adaptive laces. So there's this style. There's all sorts of different styles of adaptive shoelaces. So these have little lock things where you pull them and then they tighten and you can push this little button to loosen them. So it's kind of a pulling and loosening thing rather than a tying. There's elastic shoelaces. a bunch of different styles out there if you just search for adaptive laces. So that's an option also for shoes. Something else that we found recently is helpful. So I know, let's see, a couple of people who have a hard time tying their drawstrings in their pants. They have pants or shorts with drawstrings, and it's hard for them to get it tied tight enough to keep those tight. And so I have one gentleman who has Parkinson's, and this was actually his idea, and I thought it was genius, was to get these little cord clips. And so you just you would like push the button down, slide the drawstring through, and then when you open it up, it tightens. So if you were to have one of these on each of your strings of your pants, or they make some that have 2 holes, this one's a little harder to push, but you put the strings through here. You can then push the cord clip down, pull the drawstrings tight, and then open up the cord clip, and it stays in that tight position. So rather than tying the drawstrings of your pants, it's another just kind of push, pull, let go, tighten sort of situation. So those have been really helpful to him. And I just thought that was a really clever idea because use them on shoelaces. Why not use them on drawstrings of pants? If I have other equipment here for dressing, which I don't think I do, we'll demonstrate that in a minute once we're done. But these are some of our favorites to help with dressing tasks. Let's see. Okay. This is all just kind of about shower setup. So showers can be a situation that can be tricky, can feel a little unsafe just because there's water, it's slippery, people are not wearing clothes, they're vulnerable, and everything is often white. It's kind of hard sometimes to do all the different things. So I just want to talk about some of the things I use to help people feel a little more confident and independent in the shower. One is getting a proper seat, which we'll talk more about seats on the next slide, I believe, but it's definitely not one size fits all. You can see there's one style here, one style here. I definitely recommend shower chairs or seats, even if someone does not stand the whole time, but maybe it gives them an option to sit to do some of the things that they need both hands for, or if they need to reach down towards their feet, they have those chairs that they could sit on. Another is a traction bath mat. So I'm talking specifically about outside the shower. So this is an example here. It's, the fuzzy towel thing on top, but it has traction on the bottom to keep it from moving. I've seen a lot of people use towels or bath mats, but it's just a towel material and they set it down and they flip up or they slide around. So having something with traction to keep it flat on the ground is definitely beneficial. And also something with corners that won't like flip up. If you do have walkers and you walk over it, you don't want it to be flipping up and down and moving around that way. We have, sorry, just looking at the chat, making sure everything's good. Traction strips. So these are these blue kind of squares here. They make them in strips, they make them in these square decals, they make them in flower prints, they make them in all sorts of different things. But basically, there's bath mats, right, that you can like put down with the suction cup things to kind of have better traction. But those can either, one, you have to pick them up and put them down every time because if you just leave them there, they get pretty gross. Second, sometimes if they do get dirty or have been there for a while, they start to slide a little bit. So these traction strips are just a little less maintenance. You stick them down. They're basically like stickers, right? That stick to the bottom of the floor, add a little bit of traction. Eventually, yes, they do come up and then we get new ones or we put new ones down, but it's like months to years versus picking it up and putting it down a bath mat every single time. So those are helpful for some people. A handheld shower head can be helpful, especially if someone does take a seat. They can use that to kind of reach what they need to without having to stand up the whole time. A grab bar cover, which I think is so cool and a lot of people don't know about. That's right here. So if someone has like an actual grab bar in their shower, the metal sturdy grab bars, sometimes they get slippery, especially if there's soap on your hands or the grab bar gets wet and you're trying to stand up from a seated position and someone really needs that assistance to stand up and they're reliant on that grab bar. These grab bar covers just zip up over the grab bar, but they're very specific in their size. So you measure the length and you measure the diameter because there's two different diameters of grab bars they make these for. And it just adds a lot of traction and helps people use that grab bar to stand up if they need a little more grip there. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the other is the soap pouch. So bars of soap, if people use those, can be kind of slippery or also hard to see and find in the shower. So you put them in the pouch and then it just cinches shut and you get the pouch wet and you start scrubbing and then the suds come out. So it's easier to hold on to because they're not so slippery and someone's able to kind of wash themselves with those soap pouches. So I found those helpful also.
Hey, Heidi, before you
Yeah.
move on, can you show the drawstring trick again?
Yes, for the pants
Yeah,
with the
and you can
little
do it
cord clip.
afterwards, but yeah, there was a request for that.
Okay, yeah, I'll just do it now if that's okay, so I don't forget. And let me see. I'll use a string. Oops. If I can open it. Maybe. Okay.
As you open it,
So,
can I also ask a question about grab bars that some people
yes.
have asked me? What do you think about the floor to ceiling tension grab bars?
I love those. I think that they're great in certain places and positions. Some people use them like outside the shower to help get in and out, and I think that's fine. Some people use them by the toilet to help with transfers or by the bed to help with transfers. And I think that those are great. We just need to make sure they're installed properly. It's like a tension thing, but once they're there, they're pretty sturdy and they have different types of handles that you could kind of swivel around to be in the right position. I like them. I use them with people quite often.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this coat has no strings, so that's not going to work. Basically, here, we'll use this piece of a mask. Okay, so let's pretend that this is like the string of your pants. And so, I mean, there'd be two of them and you would tie them, but if it's hard to tie them, you can take this cord clip and it's like, there's like a little spring in there. So you push it down and then you put the string through the cord clip and it comes out on the other side. Although mask strings don't really like doing it. Here we go. And so now the cord clip is around this string, right? So if I'm like moving this, the string, it's tight on that string. So if my pants are loose, let's say this is the end of my pants, and I want to tighten them, I would push this cord clip down, pull my pants tight, and then let go. And now this cord clip is stuck here. So it makes your pants tighter around your waist without having to tie them. It's basically in place of a tie. And then when you want to loosen them, you push it down and loosen them, and then your pants are loose again. So you can take them down, do what you got to do. Then when you want to tighten it again, you just push the cord clip, pull the string, and your pants are tight around your waist again. I would probably take them off when I wash them. I don't know if the guy who I know who uses them does that or if he just washes them until they see how they hold up. But if you wear the pants more than once, you can just leave the drawstrings on or leave the cord clips on and tighten them that way. That was all the questions so far, right? These are a couple different options of shower chairs. So this style and this style are unique because if you have a shower, so I work in a building and all of the independent living apartments have showers with these little built-in corner seats. But the seats are small and they're low and they're slippery and so they don't really work as seats. But then they make it to where if you put a shower chair in front of that seat, sometimes there's not enough space for you to stand and move around in the shower. And so it kind of leaves people in a predicament. But these two chairs we can take one of the back legs off, because each leg pops on individually and each leg twists to kind of size, at whatever length you need it to. So what I do for them is we pop a leg off and we sit it on top of that built-in seat. And then the other 3 legs hit the ground and we adjust it. So then the seat is larger and sturdier and taller than that built-in seat, but it's still a seat that's there. So it could be used as that if you're in a shower situation where you're like, I have a built-in seat, but it's not great. But if I put a regular seat in front of it, it takes up too much space. That's a really great option that we found. So they have all sorts of types of chairs. As you can see, this one has no back and no arms. This one is very similar, but it has a back and arms. Sometimes it has a back and no arms. It just is dependent on what you and your loved one needs in terms of support. This style is great too if it's just a standalone chair. It's adjustable height-wise. It has the handles, it has the back. This one is a bathtub seat. For like if someone has a shower in a bathtub, but it's hard to step over that tub, 2 feet go in the tub. This is the seat where they sit on in the tub, but this side kind of hangs over the edge of the tub, and these feet are on the outside of the tub. That way, someone could come up close to it, sit on it, and then kind of slide over and lift their feet up over the tub while they're sitting rather than standing and stepping over that tub. Some people are concerned because of like shower curtains and how do you make that work if some of the feet are hanging over. So sometimes they cut them on either side of the seat and then just kind of tuck it in and underneath. So there's ways to go about it to make it work if that's what works best for you. They also have seats that are like this, but they slide. They're on like a little track. So instead of the person sliding themselves over on the seat, they sit on the seat and you push a button and kind of slide them over. So if someone has a hard time scooting, that's a good option for them, is they can sit on that seat and then kind of slide over into the tub. And sometimes they swivel also. So you can kind of sit facing this way and then swivel around into the tub and then slide over where you need to be. So shower chairs are like I said, not one size fits all. We just want to think about, what does the person need? Do they need handles to push up on when they stand up, or do they have grab bars to be able to do that? Do they need back support because they get tired and can't hold themselves up, or does that inhibit their space and they want to be able to reach better? So just a couple things to think about when we're looking at chairs. Kind of like the walkers we talked about last week. They're all a little different. They all have different purposes. It just depends on what you and your loved one needs. Same thing with toilet seat risers, not one size fits all. There's a bunch of different styles. Some are really, really great and I love them. Some are not great and I don't. So things to look out for are the ones that sit on and you kind of twist on the sides to kind of clamp it together. Sometimes they work fine, but a lot of times they're just not super stable because they can come loose or they move around, or they're just hard to stay in place. They also have ones that kind of twist and clamp on the front and hold things together. I've noticed that those are a little more sturdy. My favorite are the kind that you actually screw into the back of the seat. So you can see this seat here is one that actually flips up. So if some people are worried about the seat kind of being stuck in that position and they want to be able to clean under there, this seat flips up so that people could clean under the seat a little bit easier. But you can see these holes right here in the back. And so just like a regular toilet seat, the screws go right through that hole and screw into the back of your toilet. So they just come with longer screws. You can put your seat right on top of this seat riser and still sit on your own toilet seat, but it makes it a little bit taller. When we're looking at this kind with the handles, I definitely would want one that screws into the back, because if it has the handles but it just twists on the front or the side, if someone pushes on one handle and not the other, it's much more likely that it could tip. I mean, it depends on how strong they are and how often they do it, but if it comes loose and they push on one side, the toilet seat can kind of tip, and we don't want that. So we want ones that screw into the back, and then those handles there are just fine. There's also this style that just kind of sits over the top of the toilet, but the reason that's okay is because these arms go all the way down to the floor, and so it's not really going to tip over or slide around too much. You still want to look at, Do you have a round toilet or do you have an elongated toilet? And find the right size for that. One thing that I notice a lot is, especially if someone already has kind of a higher toilet, but it's still too low, seat risers are often 3 inches or higher. And really, most often the size I need is 2 inches. They just need a little bit of a boost. 3 is a little too tall. So you just want to look at, is it easy for them to get up without like having to rock and throw themselves up off the toilet? But if their feet are dangling when they're on the toilet seat, then that's probably a little bit too tall. So a couple things to think about is just how tall do we want it? 3, like I said, is most common. 2 is often great if you can find one. You just got to kind of search around as you're looking to see what size you're able to find. Let's see. An alternative to grab bars, if you're in a space where you can't put a grab bar on the wall to help stand up from a toilet, is you can use these toilet safety frames. So they're similar to the toilet seat risers. They screw into the back where your toilet seat screws into. So that just comes with screws that do that. And then this one comes out up to the side and down to the ground. So it's sturdy because if you're pushing down, you're pushing down into the ground. This style, some people like because then it doesn't take as much space on the ground and it just comes up, forward, and then sits on that toilet seat. So if it's screwed in tight and you're pushing down, same thing, it's going right into that toilet seat, so it's nice and sturdy. With that one, you want to be sure not to push out because it could, if you're strong enough, you could push it out and off of that toilet seat. But if you're pushing down to stand up, it just gives another place to grab and help push yourself up from for someone to stand up from the toilet more easily. I think that the toilet is the place that I see people most often kind of rock, do a 1, 2, 3, and get themselves up thing. And the bathroom is really not a place that you want to do that. You don't want to do that in any place in general. So having something to push up from, we can do the same technique we talked about with the sit to stand. Tuck our feet back, lean forward, push up from the safety frame and help stand that way. And that can help with transfers too. If you have someone who you're helping transfer from either a wheelchair or with the walker to the toilet and you help them stand and turn, they can kind of reach for the arm to kind of guide them where they need to be to then sit down. Okay, these are a few different types of grip assist tools, and I have a couple of these to show. This is something that you can stick almost anything in. You can see there's the plus thing, so you can stick like a fork in there, you can stick a toothbrush in there. It's just a wider handle. It's some sort of universal thing because you should be able to put anything in there and it'll kind of hold on to it. So if someone has a hard time gripping small items that they need to use, that can help. This is another option. It's just a little band that you hook around your toothbrush, your hammer, your spoon, and it just gives a little more support by having a strap around your hand while you're holding something. This is a jar opener. So it has different sizes of jar lids and you just squeeze it and helps give momentum to push around. This is just like a little silicone jar gripper. Here's one, just like this. This one's not silicone, but it just is a little grippy material. So like if this was a can, you could put it on and hold on to it and it just gives a little more traction to help open up that can or that jar. And then these are kind of cool. They're called key wings, but you stick them around a key just to give a little more surface area. So if, again, holding small things and navigating them and manipulating them are hard, there are a bunch of different tools out there to help with these types of grip and pinch and whatnot. So those are some options. Cool. This is just talking about tools for independence. This is an ebook that I have that shows a bunch of different tools and whatnot. There's a code for whatever we're doing, APDA. We'll talk about that later. That was just at the end of the thing. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Maybe, did I?
You did stop sharing. We just see
I
you
did
now.
stop sharing. You can just see me. Okay.
Just you.
Just me. All right, good. I'm going to make this bigger so we can both see a little bit better. Any questions about any of those before I move on to kind of demonstrating some items? Okay, cool. I have no rhyme or reason. I have a bunch of things out here and I'm just gonna grab them and kind of start showing you. So first we'll do the dressing stick and I'll use it to put on this jacket. So if I have a hard time reaching around or lifting up and getting this jacket on this way, let's say this shoulder hurts and I can't use it very well, I can slide my arm through this sleeve and kind of pull it up as high as it'll go. And then we're going to take this hook and we're going to find the other sleeve, which is over here. And I'm going to hook this hook in that sleeve. And then I can use the stick to kind of bring it up over my head, but I'm not having to reach my arm up. So if I have limited range of motion there, I'm able to move this over to the side. And then I can kind of put my arm in here and slide this down. So this is probably the most common use of this dressing stick. Like I said, you can also use it to kind of take this piece and push a sock off your foot. If you do use it to push a sock off your foot, you want to get behind the heel rather than trying to push from the front because then the heel will get stuck. So push behind the heel down and over and around. We have not talked about getting in and out of the car yet today. We talked about that last week and we are going to talk more about it today, but we haven't done that yet. So we'll do that towards the end. I had a baggie full of all my favorite things to bring, and it's by the front door of my house. So I don't actually have the car tool with me, but we can take a look at some of those and talk about that more. Okay, we talked about these cool clips. So for feeding, if someone has a hard time feeding themselves, whether it be because of tremors or because of coordination or because of fine motor, there's a bunch of different things that we can use to help with that. They make different types of plates, lip plates that have kind of edges on the side. This is one example. It's flat on one side but has a lip on the other side. So if you have a fork or whatever you're using, you can kind of push it up against that other side to help grab something and then feed yourself that way. We have, there's all sorts of different types of adaptive utensils. This one's heavy. It's a weighted spoon. So they make weighted spoons that do not have these big handles. They also make them that have the big handles for easier grip and for the weight. So sometimes that helps with tremors. If people have a little bit of a tremor, but they use something weighted, it kind of helps calm down the tremor to help them be able to use the utensil without shaking so much. They also make utensils that come out this way, but then turn at a 90-degree angle. So if someone has a hard time holding a spoon and like turning their hand to their mouth, they can kind of grip it this way and just go straight like this, and it's facing them. So those are other options. If you just type in adaptive utensils, there's all sorts of things that you'll find. As we saw in the PowerPoint, there are these little easy hold is what this is called. But you can kind of just slip one end on and then slip the other end on, and it doesn't help with the grip, but if someone needs to hold on to something, I mean, the fork's kind of harder because you typically don't hold the fork this way, but if you did, or like that spoon, it kind of just helps hold it a little bit easier so then you can use it without dropping it. They have things that are just like foam pieces. This one has a really big hole. This one's smaller, but you can cut the foam the right size and slip the fork in here. And then it kind of gives it a bigger handle. If someone has a hard time holding the small flat fork handle or a flat spoon handle, sometimes having a round thing to grip is a little bit easier. So we can kind of hold it on this way and use the utensil like that. So there's all sorts of easy options if someone has a hard time feeding themselves. We will move on to the socks and the stockings. So I'm going to tilt this down a little bit and I'm going to back up. And I'm going to tilt it down a little bit more. You don't need to see my head, right? Okay, so here is my foot. So if I have a hard time bringing my foot up to me to put my sock on, or I have a hard time bending over because this kid in me is getting too big and I can't bend over. Or sometimes bending over is okay, but for a prolonged time, then we can't breathe as well. Breathing is important. We can use this sock aid. So this one is just a plastic piece. They make different styles. It has a little foam piece here to help grip the sock. But I typically tend to put it between my knees. And then you grab the sock and the open part is the top. This is the toe where the strings are is towards the heel. So I stick it between my legs and then you open up the sock and put it around this sock aid. So it's on there like that. Then this is sometimes the hardest part. I put it on my knees and slide it down. This sock is nice and stretchy, so it's easy. Sometimes you have to kind of grab pieces one at a time and go back and forth. Sometimes you can kind of just grab the whole thing, but you want it to be kind of flush with the top, and then the rest just kind of bunches up at the back. This way I can use the strings to lower the sock aid down, stick my foot in it, point your toe down or have your loved one point their toe forward to help get it up. Because if their foot is this way, they're just going to pull and it's going to get stuck on their heel. But if you point the toe, then you can slide this up and the sock just pops on your foot like that. Let go of one side and move it around and voila, your sock is on. So that is a sock aid for standard typical socks. For compression stockings, I'm going to flip it up because there's a few things to talk about. They make different styles of what's called a stocking donner. This is probably most common. It's just like a metal frame. This one is actually a pretty wide one. So if someone has some edema or a larger leg, they get the wide one. They have smaller ones. Like I said in the video, my favorite is one that has these handles that have an extension that swivels, because that way you can kind of see this one. We ended up using tape to kind of make it bigger, but that way with the swivels, let's pretend this was a real thing, you could turn it this way, and so it would be more the position to just slide your foot forward rather than having to have it this way and pick your foot up and over. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate this, and then I'm going to show you something that I haven't necessarily tried before. So we'll try it together. This one I'm going to tilt down. For putting the stocking on the stocking donner, it's kind of the opposite of the other one. You could either put it on a table in front of you or hold it between your legs or hold it on your legs, whatever works. But instead of sliding up and over, you're going to kind of put the stocking in this U-shaped piece right here. Just hold it here in front. And then we're going to open it up and slide it around these metal pieces. Now this one is for wide feet, so it's very difficult to get that stocking stretched out, which is why we're going to look at what I have here next. It's a little bit easier on the one that's not so big, but it's the same typical thing. Then you just kind of slide it down, turning the stocking inside out. And then you can kind of grab one piece at a time and pull here, or you can come around the back and pull one piece there. But you basically just want to open up this hole and get it down as far as you can. I'm not going to go all the way right now because I'm going to show you all the way on the next one. But let's say this is the one with these handles. I can bring this down. So some of them with this type of handle, you have to bring your foot up, which I think is still kind of hard. So that's why I like the handles that you can kind of turn and angle it so I can push my foot straight forward. Now pushing my foot straight forward goes this way. Typically, you would then pull up and it would come all the way up your foot. This is showing why you want to pull it all the way down, because if you don't, it won't come all the way on. However, this stocking I don't think is big enough for this stocking donner. So I'm going to show you this one. Now, this next one, like I said, might not be perfect. So I worked with someone once who needed a large one like this, and as you can see, it's really difficult to get it up and around. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could have a stocking donor that was smaller, that you could put the sock on, and then push a button and it opens up. But it doesn't exist except for this one that someone made for me. So we're gonna try it together. Um, there are pros and cons. This one isn't perfect. It does not have swivel handles, and it has a big, large battery, which kind of gets in the way. So we're playing with some things, but this will just kind of show you how it works. I need to make sure that I turn it on to get my little key thingy. So you can see for this one, this piece that we put, it's right here. So it's big, it's bulky, it's heavy. Like I said, it's not perfect. But the piece that you can actually put your sock on is smaller. So it'll be easier to sit on my lap here and place the sock between the little bars and open it up, and I can just slide it on much easier because I'm not pulling it so tight. I want to come almost all the way up to where I can see the toe. It can be a little bit in there, but I want to be able to see the toe when I'm ready to put this on. Okay, cool. So I'm going to tilt this down, and then we'll see how this works. We'll come back here. I'll put it this way. So again, with this box being in the way, it would be harder to lift it up and over. I think I would go this way, and I can kind of turn. Oh, I put the sock on backwards. Hang on. Well, we'll do it this way, and then I'll do it the other way, okay? You can kind of angle it, but see, this is really high still to get it up, but we'll just do it really quickly. But I'm going to push this button, and it is expanding the size of the sock. So now there'll be room for my leg to go in it. So then we push the foot down, and I kind of pull this thing up and shimmy it a little bit. It might not go up all the way. I can reach the next handle down. I'm hitting my seat and go up a little bit. And then it gets to a point where I can reach it because it's high enough. And then I can pull it all the way up. And voila, my compression stocking is on. Actually, even too high. Look at that. My heel is all the way up there. So, and now you can see because we pushed the button that this piece is wider than what we started with. So this is something, like I said, this one that moves, it doesn't really exist except for right here. So we're working on that to see how we can make it better to where we could make it where people could actually use it. But I could also just make it a regular size. Like that one I showed you first is really wide, so it's hard to get the sock on. This works essentially the same way as a standard one, just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to not expand it this time. We'll just say this is more of a typical size of this sort of thing. We slide. I want to do it this way this time. We slide the sock in, pull it over. So like I said, this is something that you can do to help them if it's hard for you to put a compression stocking on someone else. You can put it on this thing and that will help. Or they can maybe try to do this on their own. But we bring it down. Oh, hold on. Flip this down. We can kind of angle it because to me it's easier to push the foot straight forward without having to lift it up and over something. So we push it in here and then we kind of lift up and pull this up the leg. And then it gets to the point where we just bring it down, bring our foot out, and we can adjust it. And the compression sock is on. So some people find that compression stocking donors are more work. Some people find that they're a lot easier. I think that they're pretty helpful if you get the right style for you. Another hint with compression stocking donors or just putting on compression socks. If you put socks on someone else, or even if they put it on themselves, and you don't use a tool, I think it's easier instead of just like, hold on, we're coming back here. Instead of putting it on like a regular sock and pulling all the way up, it's a lot easier to kind of fold it inside out to the heel. So grab it, go stick it down to the heel, and then I kind of turn it inside out. So the heel is right here. And then I just slide the smaller piece on till it gets to the toe. So if you're doing this to someone else, there's less you're pushing on. And then once we get here, we can kind of just turn it right side out, grabbing a little piece at a time and pulling it up. And then we can adjust it. But that's a lot easier to me than starting like a regular sock and going all the way up. So that could be a handy hint also. I think that's everything I have here with me today. Other than the car thing, any questions about any equipment I showed or anything that maybe I mentioned or we've talked about before that I did not show or talk about that we want to discuss? All right, cool. In terms of the car, like I said, I thought I had my handle thing, but I don't. We watched the video last week of how to get in and out of a car from a walker. I talked about how we were going to do a video from a wheelchair. I have not made that video yet, but I still can and show it out there just to kind of see how to transfer. But essentially, it would be the same technique as like a squat pivot transfer that we talked about the first week. Moving the armrest and getting someone from a wheelchair to the car, from the car to the wheelchair, and we can use that hook to kind of hook in the door jamb. Do you know, Jen, I don't know if you're still there right now, but did
I'm
we, or
here.
anybody else, did we look at that hook thing? Like when I was looking on Amazon last time, did we look at what it looked like, or did we not get there?
I feel like we watched a video, but I don't know if we looked at the hook. It wouldn't
Okay.
hurt to look at it again if we
Okay.
want to pull it up, or I can pull it up while you talk.
The video did not, what's the car gadget called? Let's find out. The video did not show the tool. I found that I did make another video with the tool that I could send out, just to show how that is used. Let's go here real quick. This is my favorite one for a car. Okay. I typed in Amazon car handle helper, and this is what showed up.
And I typed in car hook just into Google, and a bunch of the handles came up. So that was good. Yeah.
You guys can see my screen. So it's this. Oops, how do I move this? And this sits in the door jamb. As you can see here, there's like when you open the door, that little hook, and you just stick that handle in there, in that hook, and it comes out. And it does get a little wobbly. It's not like it's not gonna move, but it's not gonna come out or go anywhere. If you push down, it's gonna work. So it just acts as an extra place to hold on to as you're pushing up. So this guy can kind of grab, he's in the back seat, it looks like, the seat in front of him, and push up from that handle to help sit up. Or if you're going to sit down, you can reach back for that handle to help sit down. There's all sorts of them on here. They're all essentially the same. There you can see how it kind of goes in that handle, and then he can use that to stand up or sit down. This is the one that I talked about that some people use, but what I don't love is that the door can swing shut. So you would really want to make sure someone's there to hold the door sturdy. But they have that handle here also to kind of show how that worked. And like I said, I have videos of me using it that I can send out if you want to see.
You can also use those door hooks to break a window in case something happens as well.
You can. They're pointy, or cut a seatbelt. I've heard mixed reviews on if seatbelt cutters work in a jam or not, but some of them probably do. Sorry, just turning off my handy dandy compression stocking tool. Other questions or things that are hard that we didn't necessarily talk about that might have helpful tools that I could mention? All right. I did mention to Jen that I did some videos on transfers using real humans and some bed mobility stuff. Some of them are me moving my kids. Some of them are me moving my mom, but my kids are filming. So I don't necessarily know which videos are better, but they get the point across of how to kind of position and do different things. So I will today get those to her, and then she'll get those out to you with maybe the summary or the PowerPoint from today.
We had a big filming budget, clearly, to film those videos.
And a big time budget
Yes,
on my
hugely
end.
well produced.
Yes.
by 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will be sending a follow-up email to you all, and it will include the videos from all 4 weeks. They're all on YouTube. It will include the PowerPoints that Heidi has shared from all 4 weeks. I will have a survey in there, a very short survey, so you can tell us how you liked this course, and any suggestions for further courses. And then I will also, oh, and I'll send those videos that Heidi sends so you can watch those. And I will also send you the link to our next Beyond Medication series, which will start in May. And it is about cognitive fitness. So we have a neuropsychologist. Her name is Dr. Karen Torres, and she is going to do 4 weeks of cognitive fitness. So, talking about how cognition can be impacted in Parkinson's, but then also giving you some pieces to help improve cognition and to help maintain cognition. So, great for you as a care partner, great for your loved one with Parkinson's potentially. As well. So that will be coming up in May, and that registration is open on the APDA Northwest website. So that is that. I'm going to stop a recording. Thank you, all of you who joined us on YouTube to watch this video series.